No Time to Die is just literally like a hair under 4 months away, and they just now settle on the composer?
What the hell is going on?
Well, according to multiple reliable sources, it looks as though Hans Zimmer is going to be doing the score to the brand new Bond movie, No Time to Die, slated to come out in April. And he'll be officially replacing Dan Romer, who was originally slated to do the movie, but it looks as though he's been sacked and Zimmer is now in. You know, on the surface, this seems like really, really good news because Zimmer is a very prolific name in the film industry when it comes to score and music. But like I said in my intro, I am very concerned that it's taken them up to this point, only 4 months away, to be 100% all in on a composer. Now, I don't know anything that's gone on behind the scenes. I don't pretend to know. But for a while, it seemed like Romer, however you pronounce his name, was the guy that they were going to go with. You know, we're coming down the home stretch. We're literally less than 4 months away from this thing coming out. And now they pull the switch? I really don't know what to make of this, only that it concerns me as a Bond fan going into this movie. To anybody that's followed the pre-production on this movie, it hasn't been a rather smooth pre-production and production phase, and this sort of just seems like the cherry on the top of it. I don't pretend to know anything about music or composing, but it just seems to me that 4 months is not a lot of time. But all that being said, I do know how Zimmer operates. He necessarily doesn't do the music all himself. He brings in like a team of collaborators. And you know, he kind of gives them shit that he comes up with and then lets them go off and do their own thing and they bring it back to him. And then he just puts his stamp of approval on it and his name. That's kind of how it works. It's like a machine. So you're not necessarily hiring one guy, but you're hiring a team of composers, as it were. The one thing I love about these movies is when the score will weave in the title track into the music of the movie itself. Now, the last couple films haven't done this, and I think the last time it's happened was with Casino Royale. Now, I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's the last time we got the title track, which was You Know My Name. The melody of that, you can hear echoes and traces of it all throughout the score, throughout the entire movie. But since then, it just seems like these scores have been rather soulless. Like I said, Hans Zimmer is a fine composer, and even Thomas Newman is a fine composer. But if I'm going to be honest, the scores to Spectre and Skyfall, while good in the case of Skyfall and meh in the case of Spectre, they really don't hold a candle to the scores of like Casino Royale or even some of the older John Barry stuff like On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Diamonds Are Forever, You Only Live Twice. I just firmly believe that the music of a Bond movie helps give that Bond movie its own identity. And over the last couple films, like I said, the scores just seem kind of shallow and generic. There's nothing unique about them. They don't really sound like Bond scores. Agree to disagree on that, that's just my opinion. And does it bother anybody that we still don't have a title song artist announced yet? And again, we're 4 months out. I mean, time's a wasting. But boiling this all down to my main issue with Zimmer doing the score is that I'm just not a big Hans Zimmer guy. Now, I know a lot of you people out there love him, and you have every right to love him. He has done really good music. Like, I love his music for Inception. I love what he did with Lion King back in the day. He has done really, really good work. But my fear is that, again, in this time crunch, I'm afraid he's just going to regurgitate that same Batman sound that drove me nuts while watching that movie. I'm afraid that it's just going to be more of the same of what Thomas Newman gave us with Spectre and Skyfall. And that's because Newman, whether it was his decision or Mendes's decision, went far out of their way to kind of emulate that Hans Zimmer sound, and it's extremely prevalent in one scene in Skyfall during the elevator scene in Shanghai. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to come on here and give my brief 2 cents on this. It could turn out really well. It could just be kind of mediocre. I certainly don't expect anything bad from Hans Zimmer, because even though I really don't care for him, I can't look at any one of his scores and just say that they're bad, because they're not. They're good scores and they're quality scores. I'm just not a big fan of the guy. And quite frankly, you know, moving forward, I would just rather go back to the sound of David Arnold or John Barry. I just miss the melodies, man. Just bring back the melodies to these Bond scores, please. And just film scores in general. They're all starting to run together and sound the same. Let's have some variety and some identity. Let's mix it up a little bit. Well, enough of this fat ass bitching about that. What are your guys' thoughts? Are you excited about Hans Zimmer coming on board? Are you a little lukewarm to the idea? Please post your comments below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Adios and GTFO.